There is someone at your job who cannot be fired, and everyone knows it. You have watched them miss deadlines, create problems other people have to fix, under-deliver consistently. You have sat in the same meetings, seen the same patterns, filed the same complaints. And they are still there. Not because management does not know. They know. They have always known. The part nobody explains to you is why, after every report, every complaint, every obvious failure, the answer is always the same. Nothing happens. By the end of this video, you are going to understand the exact calculation your manager runs every time someone raises a complaint about this person, and why that calculation always comes out the same way. The reason is not favoritism. It is not incompetence at the top. It is not that they like this person more than they like you. It is simpler than any of that. And once you understand it, every inexplicable decision you have ever witnessed at work is going to make complete sense. Here is the mechanism. When you file a complaint about a colleague, when you flag someone's poor performance, their missed deadlines, their impact on the team, you are not actually asking management to address a fairness issue. You are asking them to solve a problem. And management does not solve problems unless the cost of not solving them becomes greater than the cost of solving them. So the moment your complaint lands, someone above you runs a calculation. Not a moral calculation, not a fairness calculation, a workload calculation. If we remove this person, what falls to me? What do I have to personally handle in the interim? Who do I have to train? What breaks during the handover? What happens if the replacement does not work out? If the answer to those questions creates more immediate disruption than simply tolerating the problem, the complaint gets filed, and nothing changes. Your manager is not protecting this person because they have some loyalty to them. They are protecting them because that person currently absorbs responsibilities your manager does not want to absorb themselves. They might do those responsibilities badly, but they are still doing them, and if they are removed, those responsibilities do not disappear. They land on someone's desk, usually the manager's. That is why they are untouchable. Not value, convenience. Here is the part that reframes everything. You have probably noticed that the untouchable employee is not just tolerated, they are sometimes quietly preferred. And you have never understood why someone who works harder and performs better gets treated with less patience than someone who barely functions. The reason is this. Reliable employees create expectations. Unreliable employees lower them. Once a manager has adapted to low performance, predictable dysfunction becomes easier to manage than the pressure of maintaining high standards. The underperformer has trained management to expect less, and expecting less is easier than managing more. This is why you have seen managers react more sharply to your small errors than to that person's repeated failures. It is not favoritism, it is calibration. You created an expectation of competence. They created an expectation of problems, and a violation of expectation always triggers a stronger reaction than a confirmation of it. You are being held to the standard you built. They are being held to the standard they built, and their standard is lower because management allowed it to stay lower.
Here is what this did to you without you realizing it. At some point, you stopped trying to fix the problem. You started working around it. You took on extra tasks to compensate for what they were not doing. You stopped including them in critical projects. You developed your own systems to route around their incompetence. And you thought you were being professional, being a team player, keeping things running smoothly. What you actually did was make their position more stable and your own position more demanding. Because by absorbing their responsibilities, by quietly compensating for every gap they left, you removed the pressure that would have eventually forced management to act. You solved the problem for free, which meant management never had to solve it officially. And now you are doing two jobs. They are doing half of one. And here's the part that makes it worse. You are more likely to burn out and leave than they are, because you have been surviving by exceeding expectations. They have been surviving by lowering them. The one who is performing beyond their role is exhausted. The one who is performing below it is comfortable. And comfortable people do not leave. You reported what you saw. You flagged the problem. You kept doing your job and theirs. You did everything right. And somehow, every one of those things made you more replaceable and them more embedded. You were not wrong to try. You just did not know what you were actually dealing with. Now, look at why certain people survive layoffs, because this is where it becomes completely clear. It's not that the people who get cut were worse at their jobs, it's that they were easier to remove. When restructuring happens, leadership looks at two lists. The first list is people whose absence would create immediate chaos: undocumented processes, single points of failure, relationships that would take months to rebuild. The second list is people whose work could be redistributed without the business noticing for a week. The competent employee who documented everything, trained their team, made themselves easy to replace, they're on the second list. The dysfunctional employee who hoarded knowledge and became a single point of failure, they're on the first list. The first list survives. The system does not reward excellence, it rewards embeddedness. Job security does not come from performing well, it comes from being operationally difficult to extract. And once you understand that, every decision you've ever witnessed that made no sense suddenly has a logic to it. That manager who kept someone terrible and let someone great go, they were managing their own workload, not team performance. That HR complaint that went nowhere, it was evaluated against the cost of resolution, not the validity of the claim. That reorganization that seemed to protect all the wrong people, it protected the people who were most embedded in processes no one had documented. What looked like dysfunction was a coherent system, optimizing for management convenience instead of organizational performance. That person who has been getting away with it for years, they're not untouchable because no one knows. Everyone knows. They've always known. They just decided that you solving the problem for free was better than them solving it officially. And every time you compensated, every time you worked around them, every time you kept things running despite them, you gave management permission to keep that decision in place. You were not naive. You were working from an incomplete picture. This is the rest of it. The organization is not broken. It is working exactly as it was designed to work for the people running it, not the people inside it. Knowing that won't fix the system, but it will stop you from being surprised by it, and it will stop you from compensating for it at your own expense. That's corporate GPS, the map they never handed you.